Now I would like to invite Mr. Asif Mahmood Rana to present Jain frescoes in Pakistan and analysis of Tirthankara images.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to share with you people some of the findings of my PhD research work. I'm working on Jain art in Pakistan under the supervision of Professor Dr. Ibrahim Shah Sahib, and today I'll be presenting only the Tirthankara images out of the wider topic. And okay, so today I'll try to present a very brief overview of Jainism in Pakistan and importance of the Tirthankara images, especially in the Jain frescoes, which we will be discussing. And I'll try to contextualize the frescoes, that which fraction of Jainism these frescoes belong to, and which region and which time period. And then I'll discuss briefly the images and present some of the conclusions. So, Jainism in Pakistan, if I only discuss the historical periods, otherwise the Jain literature, it extends their history in some of the regions in Pakistan to a date that cannot be justified. The only phases that we archaeologically we have some evidence are, first of all, we have evidence in Sirkap, though it is also debatable, but from 4th century BC to 1st century BC, there are another two stupas in Sirkap that are considered to be of Jain origin. Then we have a gap, and we don't have any sites till 2nd to 4th century, when there are some remains in Murti, district Chakwal, but we don't have any paintings from these first two phases. We have some sculptures from Murti, but so far I haven't found any Tirthankara images in these sculpture collections. Phase 3 and phase 4 are important for today's discussion because phase 3, which is from 10th century to 17th century of the Common Era, and especially Jains were very active in Tharparkar region, and the temples in Tharparkar, they belong to this period. It is a matter of discussion whether the paintings in these temples also belong to the same period or not, because we find some traces of renovations and repainting of the walls. So this is another topic to discuss it, whether it belongs to the same period or not. And the last period that I'll be discussing is from 19th century to 20th century, when Jainism was very active in Punjab. And so the subject matter of the Jain frescoes. The central theme of Jain frescoes is Tirthankara images. Tirthankars are Tirthankars are actually the highest, they are of the highest rank in the Panchaprameshti of Jainism. Panchaprameshti is the spiritual ascetic ranks of when a person he accepts the life of houselessness. He is called a sadhu. A sadhu, when he gets some knowledge and he can teach others, he is a upadhyay. And a upadhyay, when he leads a son, then he is an acharya. And acharya after moksha is a siddh. And if a siddh is the ultimate supreme head of the Jain dharma, then he is called Tirthankar. So Tirthankar is on the top of the religious or spiritual hierarchy. So it is definitely the most important figure in the paintings of Jainism. So we find Tirthankara images. Tirthankara images are in different forms. For example, we can find some of the scenes from Panchakalyanak. Panchakalyanak are the 5 auspicious events in the life of every Tirthankar that are that are present in Kalpa Sutra. And these Panch Kalyanak are like Garbh Kalyanak, when a Tirthankara's embryo is conceived in his mother's womb, and she had 14 auspicious dreams. So we have these paintings, and then we have the paintings of Diksha Kalyanak. No, the second Kalyanak is Diksha Kalyanak, when he renunciates the material life, but we don't have any painting of this Kalyanak. And the third one is Keval Jinan Kalyanak. When the Tirthankara, he attains the absolute knowledge, we have paintings of this Kalyanak, and then he then afterwards he attains Nirvana or Moksha, and he leaves the material world. So this is the fifth Kalyanak. I think I have left one Kalyanak. Janma Kalyanak I have left. The first one is Garbha Kalyanak, then Janma Kalyanak, then Diksha Kalyanak, and then Keval Jinan Kalyanak, and finally it's the Nirvana Kalyanak. Now we will be discussing Tirthankara images. Next please. So there are 24 Jainas or Tirthankaras. Every one of them has a special auspicious sign, which is called Achin or his Vahan, and this is the only thing that we can distinguish between Tirthankars. And another thing can be that we have an inscription that can confirm an image, and if we don't find an inscription and Achin, then we'll categorize it in generic images, because it is a common practice in Jainism that they make generic images of Tirthankaras. They make an image, and if a temple is dedicated to a particular Tirthankar, then they call that image, they name that image accordingly. So, which fraction of Jainism these frescoes belong to? We can have a look on the division of within Jainism. So Jainism faced the Great Schism in 4th century BC and divided into Shvetambras and Digambras. And Shvetambras then in the medieval period, they divided into Murti Pujak and Sthanakvasis. Sthanakvasis are those who reject idol worship and construction of any temples, so they don't have any paintings. So only we find paintings of Murti Pujak. And in Pakistan, the divisions of Murti Pujak there are many divisions, but only two main groups, that were Khartaragach and Tapgach. Followers of these two gachs, they were very prominent in Punjab and Sindh, and all the temples that retain paintings, they belong to these two gachs. So the Khartaragach. In Khartaragach, there are Dada Gurus, and there have been 4 Dada Gurus in Khartaragach, and the important one is the third one, Shri Jin Kushal Suri. The third Dada Guru of Khartaragach was Jin Kushal Suri, and his importance is that he preached in the Rabar region, and he died there, and his samadhi is still there. So the temples in southern Punjab and Tharparkar region, they belong to the followers of this Dada Guru, Shri Jin Kushal Suri. There are also Digambar temples in Pakistan, but we don't find any traces of paintings in Digambar temples. We only find paintings in Shwetambar temples, and in these regions I have earlier said that only Murti Pujak Shwetambar Jains, and in Murti Pujak only 2 gachs, Tapagach and Khartaragach, they were prevalent, and so the paintings belong to these 2 gachs. Here you can see Samadhi of Jin Kushal Suri, the third Dada Guru of Khattaragach. It is just in front of the rubber fort. And can you go to the back on our previous slide? Yes. You can see the image of Jin Kushal Suri. Some Hindus of Deravar, they also venerate Jin Kushal Suri, and this image is taken 2 months before in a Hindu temple near Deravar. So they still venerate and sing bhajans in praise of Jin Kushal Suri. He was very influential in 13th, 14th centuries. Now, in Khattaragach was prevalent in southern Punjab and Tharparkar region. But in northern Punjab, the Gach was prevalent, and in the 18th, 19th century, there was a reformer, very influential, Vijay Anand Suri. Most of the Jain temples in northern Punjab, like in Sialkot, Narwal, Sankhatra, Rasulnagar, Gujranwala, Sialkot, all of them, they are the result of the efforts made by Vijay Anand Suri. Most of the temples were constructed, and the Pran Pratishtha of these temples was also performed by Vijay Anand Suri. So the biography of Vijay Anand Suri, it leads us to many of the temples and their period of construction and their dedication to specific Tirthankras. So geographically we can see that there are basically 3 main clusters of Jain temples in Pakistan, in northern Punjab, southern Punjab and Tharparkar region. In northern Punjab, I have named all the cities where we find Jain temples or some sort of remains, but have circled only those temples in which we find Tirthankar images. So we find images in Rasulnagar, Sankhatra, and in southern Punjab we find in Multan. And in Tharparkar region we find Tirthankar images in Godi temple and in Nagar Parkar temple. So the first fresco which I am going to discuss, it belongs to the Sankhatra Jain temple, which is dedicated to Dharmanatha, who was the 15th Tirthankar. It is a beautiful temple and in a better state of preservation as far as the main Viman is concerned. Otherwise, because of water seepages and botanical outgrowths, the condition is not very good and frescoes are in bad condition. Here you can see in the mandap under the dome all the 14 auspicious dreams that Tirthankar's mother has before the birth in Garbhagrihanak. They have been painted, and in the 15th panel this image has been painted. After enhancing colors and relining the image, we find that it was the image of the 24th Tirthankar Mahavir. Although the temple is dedicated to Dharmanatha, that we find from Atma Charitra, the biography of Vijay Anand Suri, that this temple was dedicated to Dharmanatha. Otherwise, the image inside is of Mahavir. We can identify Mahavir from his line Vahan, and four principal disciples are sitting on the sides, and 4 other lay votaries are also present here. In the 16th panel, I said that 14 panels are of dreams, 15 panels has the image of Mahavir, and the next panel, it has also a generic image of Tirthankara. It can be of Mahavir, and it has been, the scene is of Samavasarn. After a Tirthankar attains Keval Janan, omniscience, he organizes an assembly of all the creatures, humans and animals, lay people and monks. So this assembly is called Samavasarn. And Samavasarn image can be identified from concentric circles or squares that are made for adjusting lay people, Shravaks, Shravikas, and the sadhus and sadhvis. So from these circles and these squares, we can identify that it is the image of Samavasarn. So here you can see that after attaining Keval Gyan, Tirthankara, when organizes Samavasarn, you can see image from 15th century manuscript. Now the next image that I am going to discuss is of Sri Parshvanatha Shwetambar Jain Mandir, Chudisarai Bazaar, Multan. On the right side you can see the first floor of the temple and the dome that is left to the shikhar. Inside this dome is present this fresco, beautiful one, of Sri Parshvanatha, and we can identify from his snake vahan and 7 hooded snake canopy. So this is the image of the third Tirthankara. And below the shikhar we have the sanctum, Garbhagriha of this temple, and we find 7 images of 7 Tirthankaras, 5 on the top of the entrance and 2 on the flanking sides. And in the vertical lines we find above Tirthankara images, then Chakravartins, and then the Dadaguru images. So these 5 above the doorjamb are the Pushpadanta, the 9th Tirthankar, Mahavir, 24th Tirthankar, Parshvanatha, 23rd, Adinatha, the first one, Chandraprabha, the 8th one, and all have their specific vahans. Because of that we can easily identify them. And on the vertical lines, the Tirthankara images are Neminath, who was the 22nd Tirthankar, and Masupuje, the 12th Tirthankar, with their respective vahans. And on the wall we find beautiful 3 Tirath parts, the pilgrimage maps of the sacred sites of Jainism. They are commonly the Tirath of Shatrunjya, Samet Shikharji, Girnar, and these are Ashtabada. These are commonly painted, and here we can see these 3 are different ones, but because they are in a very bad condition, the central one is really hard to identify. Otherwise the left one, it can be identified because the clusters of temples on Shatrunjya hills, they correspond to this painting. That's why we can identify it as the Shatrunjya Tirath part. And keeping it in Tirthankara images is because in the Tirath parts, miniature paintings of Tirthankaras have been painted. And in the left one, cluster, the square cluster that you can see is the temple of Adishwara, and they call Adinath or Rishabdev, the first Tirthankara, Adishwar, and this temple is dedicated to him. And in the above portion of these Tirath parts, there are 14 auspicious streams that Vama Devi, the mother of Parshvanatha, 23rd Tirthankar, had before the birth of Parshvanath. Here you can see the miniature images of Tirthankaras in Adishwar temple of Shatrunjya, and you can see it has been plated with gold leaves. The next temple is the Shwetambar Jain Mandir of Rasool Nagar in district Gujranwala. And the first image that has Tirthankar in it is, you can see in on the left side, it also seems to be a generic image because there is no vahan, or maybe it has been scratched. So I can put it in the generic images. It is under a specific tree. If we know the Tirthankara, who is the Tirthankar, then we, from Kalpa Sutra, we can identify which tree is it. Because we don't have the vahan or any inscription, so we cannot conclusively say about this image. The next very beautiful image in the same temple is of Navpad or the Siddh Chakra. This is a charm, this is like a taviz, or the most important, the prayer of Jainism. The first 5 lines of that prayer are inscribed in the 5 blue circles in which they praise the Panchaprameshti. Here you can see the Panchaprameshti. In the lower circle you can see, on the right circle you can see Sadhu. Then in the lower circle it is Upadhyay, then Acharya, then Siddh, and at the center you can see Tirthankar. And we don't have a vahan, that's why we cannot say which Tirthankar is it. So we can call it a generic image. On the right side you can see a Siddh Chakra in metal. It is not in the temple, but last year Jain monks came to Pakistan and they had this portable metal piece of Siddh Chakra. So it is very much similar to the fresco, that's why I have put it here. The next fresco that I am going to discuss, they belong to the Bazar Mandir or the Jain Mandir of Nagar Patkar. It is a beautiful temple. It is the present condition after the restoration work done by Endowment Fund Trust and Antiquities of Sindh. So otherwise before it was in a really poor condition of preservation. So the first image is again of Samavasad that I have discussed in the Dharmanatha Shwetambar Jain Mandir of Sankatra. So here we are sure that which Tirthankar is there. I have enhanced some colors and made the markings. So we find that line Vahan is there. Elephant Vahan is there. So elephant is the sign of second Tirthankar, Rekhudev or Ajita Nath. Both of the names are for the same Tirthankar. And here in the above full panel, you can also notice on the left Airavat, the right of Indra. And in Jain mythology, Indra is also very important. It organizes all the auspicious events in the lives of Tirthankars.
Excuse me, could you go back?
Kasha, please. The previous slide.
The last one, you know, that's the headdress.
Yes.
What is that? The form of the headdress.
Yes. Actually, I have redrawn the lines, otherwise it was scratched. It is a different one. In the body images, you would see that it looks like that some leaves or some moorpunks are also there. So I cannot clearly identify it that what is the material. Otherwise, in the present day, they make crowns out of gold and silver to adorn Tirthankar images. The previous one, please. So this is another beautiful fresco, though very scratched. It is at the entrance of the sanctum of the temple. At the center, there is Sri Lakshmi, and on the right and left extreme sides, two Tirthankars. On the right, Ajitanath with his Adinath, with his bull Vahan, who is also Vishnu. And on the left side, we find Ajitanath, the second Tirthankar, with his elephant Vahan. In the mandap walls, we find all the Tirth Patas like Samet Shikharji, Shatrunjya, Ashtapada. So this image is of Shatrunjya L, and we find 4 images of Tirthankars, and this is a very important painting because you can see all the 4 Tirthankars are not in a straight linear line. Rather, the third one is bent. So actually it is that Tirthankars are present on all the 4 cardinal positions, but in a linear painting they have unfolded that square and have depicted them in a linear line. Otherwise, this is a samadhi or a temple in which 4 Tirthankars are seated in 4 different directions. So 3 inscriptions are very clear. That the first one is from left, Mallinath. The second one is Adinath, but the third inscription is scratched. So possibly it is of Mahavir, because when they make a group of 4, they add Mahavir in it. Commonly add in it, but it is not a conclusive evidence that it is for sure Mahavir. And last one is Parshvanath. And okay, the next is that the door jambs and lintels, they have been adorned with Tirthankara images, but there is no Vahan, no chin. That's why I think these are generic images. These are 8 Tirthankara images painted on the walls. And on the concentric circles of the dome of this temple in the mandap, we find more Tirthankara images. But still we don't find any Vahan or any inscription so that we can name them. Okay, another beautiful but unfortunately faces are scratched. This fresco is of Ashtapada, and Ashtapada is very important. We can also see Ravan on the extreme right side. And in Jain mythology, they say that in the next, in his next life, Ravan would be the 25th Tirthankar because on Ashtapada he venerated all the 24 Tirthankaras and he played Veena for them, and then the strings of Veena they broke. He took out his vein from his leg and bound that vein with the Veena and played Veena for them. So because of this respect for Tirthankaras, he will be the next Tirthankar. We find Chatur Vimshati Patta of all the 24 Tirthankaras. So this is the only example of Chatur Vimshati Pattas in the Jain frescoes in Pakistan. We find all the 24 Tirthankars, and all the 24 Tirthankars are with their auspicious signs, their vahans and chins, so we can easily identify them. But someone has scratched the faces. And here I would like to mention that it is not that the Muslims of the vicinity, they hate Jains. Jains have other enemies also there, because the majority Hindus, they also don't like Tirthankara images, because in Jain mythology, Hindu deities are subsidiary to the Tirthankaras. They are the attendants of Tirthankaras like Indra. So that's why they are not in good terms. So the local Hindus, before the Muslims came to Nagarparka region, they scratched off the faces. Probably they scratched off the faces. So the next temple, very beautiful one. It has hundreds of paintings, miniature paintings and larger ones. So and in a very good condition. This is the Godi temple. Godichi was also the name of Parshvanath, the 23rd Tirthankar, and based on a very ancient story, this temple was constructed in 11th, 12th centuries, and the paintings, they may belong to a later period, because from some broken plaster zones we can find signs of renovation. So the paintings can be of a later period. So the temple is overall dedicated to Parshvanath. One concept is that all the 24 Tirthankaras have been painted in these frescoes. Another opinion from a Jain scholar was that Parshvanath in his different forms has been depicted in different colors. All the images in this temple are of Parshvanath. We have some inscriptions in Devanagari, but none of the inscription is a label of Tirthankara image. These are labels like Rathban, Aveche, and Gujarati. These inscriptions, language is Gujarati. Otherwise, the script is Devanagari. But we don't find the names of Tirthankaras in these inscriptions. Here we can see a very different headdress has been given to a Tirthankar, where something long is waving from the ground, and it can be morpunk, it can be another thing, it is not very much clear. So these are again generic images, no vahan is there. And in the Rang Mandap, all the panels, they have been adorned with triads of Tirthankaras. 3 on each panel have been painted, some are in good form, some are scratched ones. The hue of the body is different, but again we cannot say which Tirthankar is there. In the Rang Mandap, the beautiful inside of the dome has been adorned with Parshvanath image, because the temple is dedicated to Parshvanath. I assume that this dark skin, because Parshvanath is shown in dark skin. So this can be Parshvanath in his Godi or Godichi form, when his name Godichi. Okay, some other images in the Antrala. Again, we don't find any chin. Okay. Yes. The first thing is that why Tirthankara images are, the temples are adorned with Tirthankara images, because all the Jains, they venerate Tirthankars the most, and they consider their lives to be the ideals for their monastic life. That's why, and because they want to concentrate in their prayers, that's why they make these images. So these temples, we can find many Tirthankar images that are in like scratch form. Tirthankar images are the central theme of all the paintings that are present in Pakistan, And as I have earlier discussed, that all these images, they belong to Murti Puja, Shwetamra Jain sects. And the dress code and the jewelry is very interesting because this region, especially Tharparkar, it is connected with Rajasthan and Gujarat. And though Punjab is not connected with Rajasthan and Gujarat of the Indian states of Rajasthan and Gujarat, but Vijay Anand Suri, he spent much of his life in Gujarat, and he was given the title of Acharya after many centuries in Gujarat, and he brought Jaina images from Gujarat to Punjab, and then he performed Pran Pratishtha of these temples. So the artists, they were also instructed to follow the dress code of Gujarat because they were in some inspired by these areas. So these fragile frescoes are falling day by day. When I first documented the images in 2015-16, there were more beautiful Tirat parts in Rasul Nagar temple. But in 2019 and 2022, when I revisited these temples, they were fallen down or scratched by ignorant visitors. So we need to preserve them. And there was a very good idea presented in yesterday's first session by Dr. Sami Anwar Sahiba, that with the help of her and the technique which she is developing, we can digitally preserve them and then reconstruct these images for the scholars who want to do more in-depth study on these images. Thank you very much.